Welcome back. You guys ready for chapter 7? I hope so. I really enjoyed chapter 7, and I hope you do too. And in chapter 7, I think it's really down to earth, and it really kind of helps us to focus on what does it take to be an interdisciplinary thinker. It's more, again, another self-reflective type of chapter, and that's probably my own bias, as we've talked about in interdisciplinary studies, and we'll be talking about in this chapter, because I come from a discipline of psychology and sociology. So those are the two disciplines that I studied prior to coming into interdisciplinary studies. So I really enjoy those opportunities to self-reflect and take those things that I'm already pretty good at and use them in my studies. And that's really what the focus is going to be on this chapters here. And we're going to be talking about some things that help us to be better interdisciplinary thinkers so that we can put our mind and be in the mindset to be a good interdisciplinary thinker in the perspectives that we want to take. And one of those things that we need to do is to be able to reflect on our understanding and knowledge of how we determine the truth. And what that really means here is when we decide what's right or wrong, are we thinking in terms of just black and white? It has to be this way or that way. And there are some people, and that is just kind of their orientation. That's what they do. I want an answer. I want it concrete. I want to know what it is. And that's it. There is no shades of gray in my world. And that person, that type of thinking isn't going to work well for the interdisciplinary study. The interdisciplinary thinker has to be able to think of shades of gray. We have to be able to say it's not just this one way through this perspective or just that one way, but that it's something different. We're going to create a new thing with this. So we got to get rid of that black and white thinking and be open to those shades of gray. And be open to those multiple perspectives as well. It's also really important to be an interdisciplinary thinker that we become very tolerant of multiplicity. And that's when we experience several plausible yet contradictory explanations for the same phenomenon, as opposed to one simple, clear-cut explanation. Here again, we have to be open-minded. So it can be very frustrating as you start practicing these things. You come along the lines and go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes good sense. That's the answer. And then I look at it from a different perspective, and it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. Then that must be the answer. Now I have two right answers. Which one's right? Which one's correct? I can't have two right answers. So what happens here as an interdisciplinary thinker, we're learning that we can take pieces and parts of both of those answers, and it's the actual right answer is taking those things together to formulate the right answer. And so you have to be really open to realizing there's more than one way. I have a clinician I used to work with, still work with, and he's got this great saying, and I love it when he works with families. One of the things he says to them frequently is, he's like, you know what? There's about 80 different ways to get to Tampa, and they'll all get you there. What are you looking for? Do you want the scenic route, the fast route? Do you want to avoid highways? What are you looking for in that process? And that's what we're going to be studying here as we go into that interdisciplinary thinking. There's more than one way to do it. There's more than one right answer. And knowing and honoring and respecting the parts of it is what's really important. So as we deconstruct things, we look at what is really important, and so we can find the best answer from multiple different answers that has added depth to it. So yes, this route may take you 30 minutes longer, but it's going to have these other things that you need in it, and that may be a better answer for you than the route you've always taken just because it got you there. So there's some food for thought for you there. We also have to refrain from coming into situations with an I already know attitude or an I already know position. So we're not open. We're closing our minds off when we go, I already have the answer. I know what it is. I've done this before. So we have to really, really, really be open to the other ideas, the other angles, the other things. We, whether consciously or unconsciously, block it, then we're not going to be, we're missing the boat. So we have to be open and not tuning out other pieces of information that could be beneficial to us. And one of the most important things that we have to ask ourselves is not only what my mind thoughts are, but which disciplines should I be looking at? As I look at this problem, who should be involved? Who should be invested in trying to find better solutions to this? And including as many disciplines as appropriate. So in these chapters, you're going to be looking at things like mapping and how one discipline might see it one way and another discipline might see it another way, and then we have, it almost looks like a spider web of all this stuff going on, and then we try to find some common ground in there. So as I look at this problem, how many different things are involved in this problem? Who should be involved in looking at those solutions, or what disciplines should be involved in looking at those solutions? So there's some real challenges in that, even in how we assess it, that we're not tuning out certain things because we really don't want to hear it, or we're not familiar with them is even another reason. And we also need to analyze what each of those disciplines' perspective is on the subject. If you come from a discipline, you have the habits and the methods and the ideas and the attitudes of that discipline. So knowing that coming in, saying, well, of course they wouldn't have seen it that way. They don't look at that. You know, if that was the answer, why didn't so-and-so see it? They weren't looking for that. That's not what they do. Any more than your physician might notice your car's not working. And maybe yours does. But you understand where we're coming from with that. And finally, we need to analyze what each of the disciplines, we also need to analyze how does each perspective view the subject as a whole, and identify the strengths and weaknesses of those perspectives. So if it's not something that perspective favors or looks to in a positive way, or always views negatively, that could also be an element of what we're looking at. So hopefully you found Chapter 7 exciting and interesting. I look forward to Chapter 8.